So hi everybody, please do pop in your introductions into the chat and welcome to the Careers with STEM webinar for today. Today we're going to reveal some insights, information and advice on STEM careers in science. If you're joining us live, please do get your questions ready. You will see the Q&A function there and the chat. We have an impressive and amazing lineup of science professionals who are going to share their career paths and answer your questions. You might also be watching via the Careers with STEM YouTube channel. So thank you for tuning in. I'd like to kick off by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land from my place here in Gadigal country on the Eora Nation and from all of the lands in which we're joining today. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the original STEM innovators and all of those elders past, present or future. If you're Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander, thank you for joining in, and we'd like to acknowledge the First Nations First STEM. We live in an amazing country with a deep, deep connection to science and innovation. And welcome to the latest edition of Careers with STEM Science. We're here to smash some stereotypes and to answer your questions about science careers. For example, did you know that out of the 2.3 million people who work in STEM in Australia, only 30,000 work in a science lab? This webinar is made up of 3 parts. Part 1 is a Careers with STEM explainer, where I'll tell you about the Careers with STEM platform, where you can find information and resources on hundreds of STEM careers. Part 2 is an overview of the Australian science sector, including the areas set to boom, careers, employment and starting salaries. And in part 3, we'll meet our science professionals who work on improving cancer treatment, medical imaging, medical device design and new types of materials. So let's jump into the webinar. Please feel free to use the Q&A function for this at the bottom of the screen, and I'll shortly be joined by our scientists to answer your questions. So what is Careers with STEM and who am I? What are we doing? Well, I'm Heather Catchpole. I'm the founder of Careers with STEM and I have a background in geology, but I've spent most of my life as a journalist and a science producer, which has taken me all over the world. And I love sushi and dogs. You can sometimes hear them annoyingly in the background there. At Careers with STEM, we believe that everybody should have access to the tools to build their own future and a better future. So many of tomorrow's careers combine STEM skills with other areas. We call it STEM plus X, where X is your area of interest or another field or another hobby or direction. So for example, technology plus fashion equals 3D printed clothes, or maths plus music equals artificial intelligent songwriters, as you might have heard, winning the first ever artificial intelligence Eurovision lately. Science and STEM can lead to some amazing places and you combine it with all sorts of areas. It's really not just about the lab coat, the coding, the hoodie and the stereotype, although those persist. So we believe that everyone has a future in STEM careers because they're growing so much faster than other jobs. They're actually growing almost twice as fast as other career areas. But many of the STEM enrolments in different courses are still declining, especially for women and for minorities. And we'd like to change that. Before we get started, let's find out what you already know about science careers. So I'll just launch this poll. So first off, general science. Who is the only person to win Nobel Prizes in 2 different sciences? Was it Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Marie Curie, or Isaac Newton? Pop in your answers there in the poll. And your second question is, how many scientists work in the lab in Australia? Is it 100%, 10%, 1%, or 0.01%? I can see the answers popping in there. You're obviously all completely brilliant. It was, in fact, Marie Curie who won 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different sciences. And it's less than 10%. In fact, it is only 0.01% of scientists who work in the lab. So much, much less than you would think. So jumping into this issue, what is Careers with STEM? Each year, with the support of industry, we deliver 4 magazines to every Australian secondary school across each of the STEM disciplines, plus special editions like space, data science, and cybersecurity. And you can see the first ever space issue webinar. You can catch that at the same time next week for our first ever Space Mag and find out all about the amazing booming space careers in Australia. We manage the Careers with STEM website. You can check out there every day to find updated news, videos, and career quizzes if you're looking for what kind of STEM career might be for you. And you can also find us on YouTube and across all social channels. We've also just recently released these job kits which look at specific areas that are set to boom, like software engineering, machine learning engineering, data scientist, robotics and automation engineer, and many more.